This is a brand that's been hyped up by many a commenter on my channels over the years, and that is Zelos. Don't know if you can see that here. From the looks of the packaging, they're based out of Singapore, and supposedly they've got some of the most experimental designs and best value for money. I've never tried them, so I want to check out this, which I believe is one of their newer models. Let's see if they are all they're hyped up to be. Innovative watchmaking, I like the sound of that. Let's have a look. So we have a pouch that very much looks like one of those triple watch pouches, as well as a warranty card of sorts, which is actually made of metal. Yeah, so it is actually a triple watch pouch, and it's not too dissimilar from some of those sold by other accessories companies. I quite like these as they're actually functional as well, but here is the watch in question. So this is supposed to be a newer version of the Eagle, which is one of their older models apparently. And for a price of $799, or a starting price of that much, it has some pretty intricate aesthetics. So let's take a look. I failed to unpeel the plastic, so we're just gonna have to rip it off. There we go. The thing that Zelos, or at least from what I've heard from some of my friends in the watch community, Zelos watches have some pretty experimental dials, and to some extent at least this one is no different. According to the brand, who are the ones that sent this over, the carbon dial uses material from fat carbon, whatever that is, which features streaks of gold inlaid with carbon fiber. The crowd favorites of aventurine and meteorite are also available. And this top-down shot probably doesn't fully show the texture, and it's definitely multifaceted. I imagine this might be one of these watches where every single watch dial is slightly different due to the naturally occurring material. Admittedly, it's not something that I would wear, I'm going to be honest. That said, the case design is actually quite intriguing. So this has got somewhat of a skeletonized design, a bit like some of the Timex galley watches, like with the injection molded cases. Only this one is made from hardened titanium instead, which is why you can see it's not in the typical steel sort of silvery color. It's more matte with that darker gray hue, and it's got like a honeycomb texture underneath as well. And I think it looks really cool and distinctive, as does the crown. You can see it's not the typical horizontal grip marks on the crown. It kind of fades away. It kind of suits the flow of the direction of the crown, which I like. Feels great. The crystal is odd. It really is like a fully boxed crystal because it comes up quite steeply at the edges here and goes above the bezel, and then almost goes perfectly straight over the top. It is sapphire, so it should be good for scratches and stuff like that. Would that be like a shatter risk potentially? I'm not 100%. On closer inspection of the dial, or at least this particular unit, you can see like veins of shininess from that carbon fiber texture, which you may not be able to see on camera, but it is very unique. It's not quite like anything I've seen before. One thing that I'm not super keen of, at least at first impressions, is the typeface used for all the numbers. It looks a lot like the Impact font, which you will have seen all over the place on like Microsoft Word and that, which to me is just like one of these slightly overused fonts. But it has been squared off a little, but I'm not sure it quite 100% fits the theme. It's kind of like a pilot's watch theme to an extent, I guess. And it is highly visible, so I get that aspect of it. But clearly, given the experimental dial and all that, that's not going to be of primary concern here anyway. The strap here is a rubber strap. Feels really good, actually. I know for this price, some people would just want a bracelet and that, but the quality of the strap feels great. I'm sure it is pretty comfortable. The movement inside is also one I'm not super familiar with. The LJP G100. This isn't one I've encountered before. I'm not sure of the details of it, but I do really like the custom rotor here. It has kind of like a half circular saw effect on it there. Yeah, they've called it a turbine rotor in the email, and I can really see why. I really like how you can see this section of the movement here moving along with the rotor, which you can't normally see on at least the more budget movements I tend to cover. Overall, the watch is light, I guess because of that case, but it's not super light. It doesn't feel extremely cheap or anything like that. Really like the custom buckle, by the way, as well. It feels extremely secure, And it's even got some swanky finishing on, which I don't encounter very often at all. It's got a bit of a unique shape where it sharpens towards the end. And there it is on my pretty small 6-inch wrist, so it does look a bit big on my wrist, but in all honesty, for the average wrist, this one will suit no problem. It almost actually fits me, so I'm interested to get the calipers out and see what size this one actually comes in at. It is a little bit chunky, some of that is the crystal, but feels exceedingly comfortable. I'm guessing because of the case and that nice comfy strap. Again, realistically, this definitely isn't my style. I'm not really into maximalist watches. I was just more curious about trying out the brand myself to see what the quality level was like and the finishing and that. A bit like the Swiss watch company Trench that I looked at. A couple of these edges here are so sharp and nicely finished for titanium that it is quite impressive. I'd say this level of precision here is slightly better than on the likes of the Casio Oceanus that I've reviewed on the Ben's Watch Club channel. Yeah, really impressive case there. Diameter bang on 39mm. Lug to lug looks really short, and it's fairly short, 48mm, although in reality it feels a little shorter, possibly because of the steep angle away from the lugs down there. It feels more like a 46mm lug to lug, and a thickness including the crystal of exactly 13mm. Very good tolerances as well. So yeah, looks like a good quality watch overall. Not something, like I said, I'd find myself wearing really, but if you're into these more experimental designs and dials, this one is fairly accomplished in that regard. I'll link it in the video description if you're interested. I don't think I'll be reviewing this on the main channel because the price is still a little bit out of my wheelhouse really. Well, I'll just quickly test the lume and then I'll shoot. Yeah, that is beautiful lume actually. Really like the arrangement of the areas that are loomed up there. It looks great. So the indexes are BGW9 and the printing is all C3 Luminova, which is why the outer edges and the hands are slightly brighter than the inner bits, but overall great low light performance. I've told him to get in touch with me when he has some cheaper watches to review at some point, so maybe we'll be seeing these again.